She Said, He Said is sponsored by Times Media Company and Lee Enterprises. Our show is recorded each week at Creative Space Place Studios in Hobart, Indiana.
You're listening to She Said, He Said with Karen and Jerry Davidge, a potpourri of everything that has to do with relationships and the baggage that comes with it, because there's a lot to unpack. Yes, welcome to She Said, He Said with Karen and Jerry Davidge.
I'm Jerry, she's Karen.
Yes, and in the studio today and on our podcast, we have the lovely couple, Crystal and Jason Pedrosa.
I'm Crystal, this is Jason.
Just so you didn't know, we clarified it for
everyone.
you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to tell us about your very unique story of how you met. And there is a theme to this. It's not that we just randomly pull people out of their homes at night to talk to us in this studio. Tell us what the theme is. Jerry.
Oh, sorry. So I met Jason and Crystal, and I wrote a column about them because they're a unique love story, all about election day and running for candidacy and running for public office. And they didn't know each other existed, pretty much, correct?
That's correct.
Until when? When did you guys finally realize that?
Well, we had registered our names for candidacy, and I had seen this name up there, Crystal Cortez Briseño, and I was like, who's that? I knew the other two candidates.
What year was this again, Jason?
This was 2019.
Okay.
And what were you running for?
Lake Station Councilman at Large.
Okay.
And I had asked a few people, and they had told me that she was worked at a local law firm, and I was like, okay, well, hopefully I run across who she is, so I can introduce myself.
Because you're a classy guy.
I would like to think.
Or it's just good business.
And then I was at a city function at the Texas Corral for the Lake Station Lions Club. Shout out to the Lions Club.
It's official.
Very good organization.
They are.
But she happened to be eating dinner with her friends there that night.
Just coincidence.
Yeah, just coincidence. Okay. She wasn't there for the event. And she walked by and said hello to everyone. And not that I was a creep or anything, but I had looked her up on Facebook to see if I knew visibly if I had
like a creep or anything.
Is that creepy, Crystal?
No, I guess everybody kind of saw it.
Yeah, okay, it's fair enough.
I wanted to see if the face, maybe the name didn't click with me, but the face would. And it hadn't, somehow we had not, our paths hadn't crossed. Mm-hmm. So then I was told by Councilwoman Erica Castillo that that's who Crystal was. And I got up, I shot up, come darting out the door, but probably now in hindsight, it was probably a little crazy.
That part was more creepy.
Crazy, creepy.
I said, excuse me. And she turned around and I said, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Jason Pedrosa. I'm running for councilman at large for the city of Lake Station. And she had this startled look on her face, and she was like, oh, hi. She put her hand out there, and she knew my older brother, Harry.
Okay.
So she was like,
Crystal, what were your thoughts when he did this?
He talks a lot.
That was your initial reaction?
That was my initial reaction through the entire thing. Having people come to me and introduce themselves to me at that time was natural. Working in the law firm and around people did not bother me at all. But yeah, he talked so much at that very moment, and I just wanted to go home.
Sounds like love to me.
She asked the following week if we could meet up, and we did, and we met for a couple hours. And I realized that although we didn't agree on everything, which you shouldn't, you're not going to.
Right.
You're running for office, you're not going to, agree with everyone. But I saw the passion, and I said, I can work with her.
Okay.
And she had informed me she wasn't a polished politician, she really didn't know the steps to take. And I said, well, there's two positions. I'd be more than happy to campaign with you.
I'll bet you did.
Crystal, actually, no. In all fairness, I kept it really professional.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't doubt that.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, there was a detraction there. I'm not going to lie about that, but I was so eager to represent the people of Lake Station. I grew up there. I cared about the community. I care, not say cared past tense, but I wanted to represent them so bad that that was not a thought in my head.
Crystal, fill us in, if you would, on your background a little bit of the when you guys first met. You were just meeting to share some information.
I was,
It's the polite thing to do. But when did things fast forward then? You have, when did you guys have this wonderful friendship and go, oh, she's interesting, he's interesting, and then you took it to whatever next step that would be? How did that happen?
You're going to have to let me take this one, Crystal, because I don't want you rewriting history.
Rewrite history.
She had actually expressed interest before the primary.
Oh.
And I told her that this had to be strictly business.
Is this the 2020 primary you're talking about?
The 2019 primary.
2019, okay.
So you would take office in 2020.
Okay.
So I explained to her that, and at first I think she had this look like, oh, I didn't want her to feel embarrassed. Mm-hmm. Because the feeling, I was attracted to her. But I was also not going to mix that with what I was trying to do for my city.
Until?
After the primary.
Yeah, right.
And then on election night, I told her she had nothing to feel bad about. She had come in third place, a very close third. And I said, you have nothing to be ashamed about. She didn't have family, a big contingency of friends like I did. I had the luxury of having that in the city of Lake Station. She didn't. And I said, you came in third, close behind the second place finisher who was the former mayor.
Oh, wow.
So you have nothing to be ashamed about. And she, how did you word it exactly?
I looked at him and I said, now you can kiss me.
And then she scurried away.
And then I
like
left.
a teenage girl.
I did.
She did.
I did.
And I was
So did you start dating soon after Election Day?
No.
No, still not.
Still weren't
We hung out. We would go and, have lunch or something, or go and hang out and we liked taking hikes at that time. We would do that, take walks.
Knowing all the whole time that she said you can kiss her.
Right. I was a little slow on the uptake. We were talking, and I was thinking in my head, either you do this now or you're not going to do it. Mm-hmm. So I leaned in for a kiss, and she looked at me, and she was shocked. And then, so she didn't push me away, which probably would have
It's a good sign. Yeah.
Crystal, is this history accurate?
That is accurate.
This is what-
I thought he didn't like me.
Yeah,
Like
sure.
that.
Anybody
Yes.
would think that.
And I was comfortable with that. I was like, okay, we're fine. We're going to be friends. We're going to be great friends because I feel like I have a partner as a best friend right now. So, when it was a huge surprise when he kissed me.
Wow.
Very, very nonchalant.
You weren't expecting it?
Was not expecting it. He blamed it on the fact that I was buying pizza that night. But
her backstory is, and how she went through everything through the foster care system. I hope you are not upset with me bringing it, but and adoption later on, and how she did with everything against her, how she was able to go through and do things that, when in hindsight I came up in a family that was very close. Mm-hmm. I took that for granted.
We all do.
I didn't go to college at first. Later on I did. But it was, here was somebody where everything looked like the world was stacked against her from an early age. And I think that's where I really, really knew that not only did I like her, but that I respected her that much.
The whole friendship was based on that, wasn't it?
It was
yes,
just,
absolutely.
I like to call our relationship a COVID relationship, because we were friends, and there was a stint, just so that everybody's clear, there was a stint. We started dating, and then we broke up for a second.
Oh.
We stayed friends. She caught COVID. At that time, it was at the very beginning.
Oh, yeah, we had no idea.
Yeah, and she had caught it from taking her boss to the hospital.
Oh, God.
And he had it. And then she tested positive. She got really ill. Mm-hmm. She had a very high temperature, and she kept it there for over a week. And
104.2 for the entire week.
Oh my god.
And
that is scary.
I kept running back and forth with cold water and rags and applying it onto her to try to get that temperature. She didn't have an ice machine, or else I would have put her in the bathtub and just dumped ice on her.
Exactly.
But we had a lot of telehealth visits, but I wouldn't leave her side. And she told me, Jason, you're a type 2 diabetic. That's one of the listed, you're high risk.
Yeah.
Go home. And I said, I'm not leaving you. And I stayed there the entire time.
Well, fast forward again for us, if you would, and tell us how you got to be a couple and how you got to be married.
We were with our nieces, and we were at the South Lake Mall. Well, Westfield Mall, I think it's called.
Same difference.
I know it is South Lake, but we were. I had gotten a cookie made at Mrs. Fields, I think it's called.
One of my favorite misses ever.
Right?
Mrs. Fields.
I had ordered it already, so that's when I asked her out again, and it was in letters, and
What kind of letters?
Like
W-I-G,
yeah,
W-M.
yeah, will you out with me?
Oh.
And she opens the box, and then she just starts laughing and smiling and looks at me. My niece is like, what's that stand for? And she's like, will you go out with me? And she's like, oh.
Somehow I instantly figured it out. It wasn't a letter thing that we normally do.
Yeah.
It was just natural that I
just
knew
knew.
exactly what it said. Yeah, and I thought, wow, that is the cheesiest thing I've ever seen.
I
in
love
my
this
entire
man.
life. But how could you not love that? That is so cute.
That's a beautiful gesture.
And this was in early 2020?
No, this would have been in 2021.
Yeah.
Right? 21.
21.
Because you guys accelerated very fast.
Yeah, it was
I
very
thought.
fast, because it wasn't soon thereafter that I ended up proposing and to her, and that was from the article, the Corral. I chose the same place,
Texas Corral in Portage.
Texas Corral in Portage, and I came. I had her park the car, and we were in Maryville, and she was like, "What do what would you like to eat?" And I was like, "I really want nachos."
Nachos
Texas
from
Corral.
Texas Corral.
And she looks at me. She's like,
We've already been dating for a year. We've hit so many nice restaurants and cute dates and times that we've gone out. And this man wants nachos from Texas Corral.
and
Fine.
she was
Fine.
upset.
I'm hungry. We're in Maryville. Out of all the restaurants, you want to go to Texas Corral in Portage.
Did you
So I
suspect anything, Crystal?
I had no idea.
Okay.
So
I just
went-
thought that I'd be nice this day, even though I was super, super irritated with it.
Oh,
You
she
need a
was.
Snickers bar, what you need.
Oh yeah. She
I told
turned-
him, I said I'm going to stop at McDonald's and get myself a double cheeseburger.
Oh, she did.
I'm hungry.
I know. I should have stopped for the Snickers. I was like, she turned into Betty White real fast, didn't she? No, but I went in and I had already set it up with the management at Texas Corral.
So they knew it was coming.
They knew it was
You
coming.
knew it was coming. You didn't
I
know
had
it was
no-
coming.
So I told her I'm going to go see. And it just so happened that Texas Corral was busy that night. So I said, why don't you drop me here at the door? I'll go get a table and see how long the wait is.
Well played.
And you park the car. I was still figuring out how I was going to get in there first. So I walk up, I talk to the manager. She's like, I'm so sorry, we just got slammed. I'll be with you in a minute. And I kept seeing her. I'm looking out the door and she's parking the car, and I was like,
Got a close
we
spot.
don't have time.
Right.
And I tell the people that were sitting in the lobby, I said, I'm proposing to my girlfriend.
Which is strangers?
Yes, bunch of strangers. I said, we met here, and I wanted to propose to her. But they were supposed to film it for me, and this lady goes, I'll film it for you. I was like, oh, thank you. And I handed my phone, and I walk out, and she's at the
He
exact
runs
spot.
out?
Yes, she's coming up. An exact spot that she was at when, and I said, excuse me, I wanted to introduce myself. My name's Jason Pedroza.
Okay.
And she's like, she's got the mask
Where's
on,
my
sounding
nachos?
like Darth Vader. She's like, okay. And I got down on one knee,
Oh my god.
and she's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I asked her, and will you marry me? And she's like,
Are you sure?
Is that what you said, Crystal?
I said, are you sure? I asked him about 3 times, are you sure? Are you serious? This is really what you want?
And I said, yes. And she said, yes, of course. And I shot up and we embraced right there in front of the restaurant. And we come back into the restaurant to loud applause.
Yay.
Like a movie.
But,
Yes.
Oh, part of the Lifetime movie you're
Part of
referencing.
the Lifetime movie, yes.
Yeah, so we could have put in the long-winded politician, whatever, because you did say I was long-winded. No, but it was.
That's a beautiful
pretty
moment.
good.
That
That's a
is.
beautiful moment to have.
We-
You have to tell us about the wedding, okay? Please.
Okay.
How it went down.
How it got started?
Yes.
We weren't going to be
that
married.
was your father.
We weren't going to be married for another
4 years.
4 years.
I wanted to wait 4 years. I said 4 years sounds like a good plan. Let's do a long engagement, set up plans, figure out the next elections because we both knew that we were running again.
Wow.
I called it the Crystal Academy. If I graduated after 4 years,
Yes.
I'd get a certificate and we'd get married. But it was, my father was getting progressively
I
worse.
see.
And
He was not allowing. He did not think that 4 years was a good idea.
he said, if you get married in 4 years, I won't be here.
I see.
And I want to see you guys get married. He loved Crystal. And I guess I was all right in his book too. No, I'm kidding. I was his baby boy. So
Yeah.
what we did know was we had set it up. We ended up setting it for March 26th of last year.
Tell us more about the wedding itself.
Yeah.
Well, we had an officiant, wonderful. He was a former Catholic priest.
Reverend Kluklin.
Yeah, Doug, Klukin from Crown Point. Shout out to him. He's wonderful.
He is amazing.
He's a-
Something at your wedding that took place that caught me, did not expect, involved a teddy bear.
her son, and
Can you tell us about the teddy bear?
Yes.
For months, I was trying to figure a way to include her son. She had she'd given birth to a
Stillbirth.
stillborn, and he. And
How long
he
ago was
was
this, Crystal?
He would have been 6 in September of this year. So.
And I had known right off the bat. Well, one of the first things when sitting down with Crystal, she told me the story of Leo, and
That had happened the year before.
how important he was
Yeah.
to her. And so I was trying to figure a way to include him in the wedding. One of the things was when her boss at the time was going to give her away at the wedding. So I had planned, okay, get him a tuxedo for the teddy bear and have him holding Leo. It contains Leo's ashes inside
Okay.
the teddy bear. And when they say it, her boss stand up and say, we do. And when she turns around, he'll have Leo.
Oh.
But we had stayed at different hotels.
And I
the
don't go
night
anywhere
before.
without him.
And I
If
went,
we stay away from the house, he comes with me.
and my cousin had come up from Tennessee to serve as my best man. And I said, we got to go by the house. I don't know what made me think that she was going to leave him there and I would be able to. But anyway, we make the trip from Valpo to Lake Station, only to find out she had taken Leo with her.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, there's nothing I could do. And when I came out with Reverend Doug, her family was in charge of the music, and they played Another One Bites the Dust. Off guard, I couldn't stop laughing. But then our song came on, and when she finally came out, she's holding Leo, and
There was a lot of work put into that too, not telling him about it. The only person that knew was my one niece, because she was going to be the one that I was handing him off to.
I see.
The only one that I trusted to hold him
Of course.
comfortably and softly and gently. So even she didn't know until a week before the wedding that I had the whole thing planned out, how she was going to do it, how we were going to transfer him over.
which in hindsight makes sense because her boss had offered to walk her down the aisle, and she said, "No, I just need you to give me away."
I see.
And I was like, "You don't want him walking down?" She's like, "No, I want to walk."
my son to walk me down the aisle.
Oh God. Okay.
So
So
I
sweet.
did not know
That
that.
is so
So this was
beautiful.
more of a surprise to me. So I immediately knew the emotion had hit me. And I was very happy because it did mean a lot to me too that Leo be involved in it.
Absolutely.
Because we see the photos, and no one would know when you see a photo of you holding a teddy bear at your wedding.
Well, some of my family, they didn't know the story.
Oh, really?
They're like, what's she doing with the teddy bear?
There wasn't.
And it was explained later, and they were like, oh.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
And yeah.
It's been something that's difficult to explain when people ask you, are you a mother? And you say yes, but I've lost my son. And then I get a lot of sad looks. And I'm like, no, listen, it happens. Right. It happens to a lot of women. Yeah. We all struggle with it. We go through the emotions with it. And I have no problem talking about it. And then there's other times that people just don't believe that I have any or know that I have a child. Aww. So at that situation, at that time, a lot of his family didn't know that I had a child.
And see, that goes along with her name. One of the things that, would have been hard for some of my friends was when she had talked to me and she says, I want to keep my name because I'm not ready to not have the same name as my son. And I said, if that's important to you, then I'm okay with that. Yeah. And now, as we talked earlier, it's become a contentious issue thinking that she has my last name, which I told her, if you ever want to change it, that's fine. If you don't, because you're not comfortable, you're still wanting to stay with your sons, it's fine. Yeah. And that's...
Yes, his name is Leonardo Thomas Xavier Cortez Burson, longest name ever.
Oh, it's sweet.
And Leo for short. We call him Leo.
Is Leo still with you?
Yes, he is in my necklace that I wear every single day. That doesn't come off. That is also his birthstone.
So his ashes are in the stone? Oh my God.
Jason made it with the ashes in the stone. He had originally purchased it for me when we first started dating, before he proposed to me, and then later had ashes put in the stone to have a piece of him with me. It was a slight conversation about that because I never wanted my son separated, and then when he had done it, it was the most beautiful, amazing thing.
She's a strong person, and that's where even more. I don't want to say that was the only reason why I fell in love with her, but it helped because I can look at her and think, she's an amazing woman, and why wouldn't you want an amazing woman?
Jason, why wouldn't you?
And that was the other thing was that I had explained to her, because she said one of the things, and it's a defense mechanism, and I understand with her background and everything, was she said, my life is complicated. And I said, well, Crystal, I'm here to complement your life, not to complicate it.
Oh, nice. Smooth talker, Jason.
His intelligence is what got me,
What you guys did not dream of meeting, obviously.
No.
On that fateful night at Texas Corral and Portage in a parking lot, right? If you would share with our viewers and listeners, giving hope to couples who think they're not going to find someone. Yes. It'll never happen to me. I'm not going to find that kind of person. It's not going to happen. And then you guys were not looking at all, and boom, right?
It happened here, and that's where...
Give hope to some of our viewers, if your listeners, that it can happen to anybody, right?
It can happen to anybody. Everybody's got a beginning story, middle story, and an end story.
Well, and
we are just in our middle story right now.
And the thing people like to use... well, this happened to me in my last relationship, so they like to close down. I know this because early on in life I was that person.
Yeah.
And you're not going to meet nobody sitting on your couch, giving yourself a pity party.
So go to Texas Corral Park.
Go to Texas Corral.
To meet the future love of your life.
I don't want to just give a plug because Roadhouse is a good place to go. And they sing and dance.
You never know when you're going to
meet someone.
Make it happen.
Make it happen.
I believe that there's someone out there for everybody, and life will take you to where you're supposed to be.
Yes.
Like it did for you too.
Like it did for me.
Never tried to, or never allow anybody to change who you are.
Yes.
Yes.
They
Absolutely.
accept
Very
you for
good
who
advice. Very good
And you
advice.
don't try to change anyone either. And if you think they're like this now, but I will change them into
That happens so
doesn't
often.
work.
It does.
We're going to change somebody, remold them to how we want.
That doesn't work at
Doesn't
all.
work.
And we
You
can
end up
all look
being
at the camera for
frustrated.
that.
No, it doesn't work
Doesn't
at all.
Does not work. No.
All four of us believe on that one.
But believe in love. Don't ever give up on it.
That's a good way to end it. Thank you, Jason.
You've been listening to She Said, He Said with Karen and Jerry Davich, sponsored by Times Media Company and Lee Enterprises, and recorded at Creative Space in downtown Hobart. Find us at nwi.com and where you find all your podcasts.
If you enjoy our show, we hope you return with your own viewpoints about couples, relationships, and the subtle or not so subtle differences between spouses, mates, partners, and potential partners. We welcome your opinions, your experiences, and especially your love lessons.